This video is on gonioscopy. I'm gonna read gonioscopy from Shields first, then tomorrow from Jacobi, and the day after tomorrow from Arvind. As in Arvind, the gonioscopy is given in very much detail. It will take 3 days, 4 pages per day, okay? And also, when I'm gonna read Arvind, at the end of that video, so it will be part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In part 5 or in part 6 of gonioscopy video, I'll be adding some pictures and videos for better understanding of the gonioscopy. So in this video, I'm going to read Shields' textbook of glaucoma, which is 6th edition. It's chapter 3, page number 41. Gonioscopy and other techniques for assessing the anterior segment. Assessment of the anatomy of the anterior chamber angle by gonioscopy is an essential part of the glaucoma evaluation. The drainage angle as well as other structures in the anterior segment, namely iris insertion and ciliary body anatomy, can also be assessed by using ultrasonographic and laser imaging techniques and cycloscopy. In this chapter, we describe these techniques and those involved in the assessment of aqueous humor dynamics, although the methods in the latter category, specifically tonography, fluorophotometry, and measurement of episcleral venous pressure, are not routinely used in clinical practice today. Clinicians should be familiar with them because their results form our understanding of aqueous humor dynamics and the mechanism of action of glaucoma medications used to lower intraocular pressure. The discussion of gonioscopy is limited to technique and normal anatomic findings, whereas abnormal findings on gonioscopic examination associated with the various forms of glaucoma are considered in section 2. Historical background. In 1907, Trantas visualized the angle in an eye with keratoglobus by indenting the limbus. He later coined the term gonioscopy. Salzman introduced the gonio lens in 1914 and Kippe improved on it 5 years later by designing a steeper lens. Troncoso also contributed to gonioscopy by developing the gonioscope for magnification and illumination of the angle. In 1938, Goldman introduced the gonioprism, and Barkan established the use of gonioscopy in the management of glaucoma. More details on the history of gonioscopy are available in a review by Della Porta. Principle of gonioscopy. In healthy eyes, the angle cannot be visualized directly because of the optical principle known as the critical angle. The critical angle is related to the properties of light passing through media with different indices of refraction. When light passes from a medium with a greater index of refraction to one with a lesser index, the angle of refraction R is larger than the angle of incidence I. When R equals 90 degrees, I is said to have attained the critical angle. When I exceeds the critical angle, the light is reflected back into the first medium. The critical angle for the cornea-air interface is approximately 46 degrees. Light rays coming from the anterior chamber angle exceed this critical angle and are therefore reflected back into the anterior chamber, preventing direct visualization of the angle. The solution to this problem is to eliminate the cornea-air interface by using a gonio lens or gonioprism. Because the index of refraction of a contact lens approaches that of the cornea, there is a minimal refraction at the interface of these two media, which eliminates the optical effect of the front corneal surface. Therefore, light rays from the anterior chamber angle enter the contact lens and are then made to pass through the new contact lens air interface by one of two basic designs. In direct gonioscopy, the anterior curve of the contact lens, the gonio lens, is such that the critical angle is not reached, and the light rays are refracted at the contact lens air interface. In indirect gonioscopy, the light rays are reflected by a mirror in the contact lens, the gonioprism, and leave the lens at nearly a right angle to the contact lens air interface. Commonly used gonio lenses and gonioprisms are listed in Table 3.1 and some are shown in Figure 3.2. So what's the principle of gonioscopy? The principle of gonioscopy is that normally what happens, we cannot see the anterior angle. And why it is so? Because whatever we see, okay, the light rays are reflected back to our eyes, okay, and our eyes are functioning normally. When our eyes are functioning normally and the light rays are reflected from the object, we can see that object. But what happens in case of anterior chamber angle? The light rays reflected from the anterior chamber, they don't reach up to the examiner's eye, our eye, so we cannot see the anterior chamber angle. Why so? See, this is the cornea, this is the air, okay, and there is a tear film, okay. This is cornea, tear film, and air. So the refractive index of the cornea, it is a denser medium as compared to the air, okay. So what happens? Cornea is a denser medium as compared to the air, that is rarer medium. When the light rays from the anterior chamber angle, they uh, they hit the cornea, they pass to the cornea, okay, then they reach up to the cornea air interface, okay, cornea or tear film air interface. At that interface, what happens? The rays, rather than going to the rarer medium, the light rays are reflected back into the denser medium, that is the cornea and the anterior chamber aqueous humor itself. So we cannot see that anterior chamber angle. Why it is so? Because light rays coming from the anterior chamber angle, they hit the cornea air interface at an angle. The angle of incidence is larger than the critical angle. Now what is the critical angle? See, when the light passes from the denser medium to the rarer medium, in case whether it is a solid to liquid or liquid to air or solid to air, okay, so denser medium to the rarer medium, denser medium having the higher refractive index than the rarer medium. So when the light rays pass from the denser medium to the rarer medium, when the angle of incidence is such that the angle of refraction is 90 degree. So when the angle of refraction is 90 degree, at that time the angle of incidence, that angle of incidence is known as the critical angle. And when the angle of incidence is more than that critical angle, the angle of refraction, okay, the light rays, they are not reflected into the rarer medium, they are reflected back into the denser medium. So that's the cause, or we can say that's the cause we cannot see the anterior chamber angle. So we don't want that angle of incidence reach to the level more than the critical angle. And how we achieve that? So we replace the cornea air interface by the contact lens air interface. Now the contact lens, it has got the anterior curvature, steeper anterior curvature than the cornea, so that the angle of incidence doesn't exceed the critical angle, and the light rays are refracted into the rarer medium and reach the examiner's eyes, and we can see the anterior chamber angle. That is in case of the direct gonioscopy. And what happens in indirect gonioscopy? In indirect gonioscopy, there is a mirror. It's a lens and there is a mirror. When the rays coming from the anterior chamber angle enter that lens, they are incident on this mirror and they're reflected at the contact lens air interface at right angle, and this way the light rays coming from the anterior chamber reach the examiner's eye and we can see the anterior chamber angle. So that's the principle of direct and indirect gonioscopy. So direct contact lenses, okay, they have the anterior curvature steeper than the anterior curvature of the cornea, but they have the similar refractive index of the cornea, okay. And in indirect gonioscopy, when we use the lenses, these are called as prisms because they have that mirror which reflect the light rays, okay. Now direct gonioscopy instruments. The Kippe lens is the prototype diagnostic gonio lens and is available in different diameters and retina or posterior curvature. A gonioscope or handheld myomicroscope provides 15 times to 20 times magnification. The light source is, oh my god! Come here. Okay. Direct gonioscopy instruments. The Kippe lens is the prototype diagnostic gonio lens and is available in different diameters and radar of posterior curvature. A gonioscope or handheld myomicroscope provides 15 times to 20 times magnification. The light source is usually a separate handheld unit, such as the Barkhan's focal illuminator, although it may be attached to the gonioscope. Technique. Direct gonioscopy is performed with the patient in a supine position, preferably on a movable diagnostic table or chair, after applying a topical anesthetic. The gonio lens is positioned on the cornea with either balanced salt solution, a viscous preparation such as methyl cellulose, or the patient's own tears between the gonio lens and the patient's cornea. The examiner usually holds the gonioscope in one hand and a light source in the other hand. Occasionally, an assistant may be needed to move the gonio lens to the desired position. Alternatively, a gonioscope with mounted light source may be used, which allows the examiner to control the gonio lens with the other hand. In either case, the examiner scans the antechamber angle by shifting his or her position until all 360 degrees have been studied. An excellent overview of direct gonioscopy with guided video gonioscopy examinations is available at http at www.gonioscopy.org. The link is given there in the text. Okay, so indirect gonioscopy. Now, direct gonioscopy, honestly, I have never seen direct gonioscopy, how it is done. I have never witnessed how it is done. So, and even I didn't get the video on the YouTube how it is done. So, I think I should request some ophthalmologists who have YouTube channels to put some direct gonioscopy video on their channel. So, I can share that link here under my video. Okay, so direct gonioscopy, the Kippe lens is a prototype of direct gonioscopy, okay, and it is available in different diameters and radar posterior curvature. So the gonioscopy lens has the anterior curvature that is steeper than the curvature of the anterior curvature of the cornea, okay. Why? To decrease the angle of incidence below the critical angle, so that the light rays are not reflected back or refracted back into the denser medium and are refracted or reflected and are refracted into the rarer medium, that is the air medium. So this Kippe lens, it has got the anterior curvature that is steeper than the cornea for to reduce the angle of incidence less than the critical angle, so that the critical angle is not reached, okay. Then the posterior curvature is available in different diameters, okay. When the posterior curvature is steeper, okay, posterior curvature is steeper, we need the bridging substance like methyl cellulose, okay, or balanced salt solution in between the cornea to fill the gap between the cornea and the contact lens, okay. So that was about the structure of the Kippe lens. Now the technique. Technique is direct gonioscopy can be done when the patient is in the supine position on a diagnostic movable chair, okay, a reclining chair or table. Then obviously a verbal consent is required. Any procedure and procedure needs to be explained, verbal consent needs to be taken. Then after that we need a Barkhan's illuminator or handheld illuminator that can be mounted on the gonioscope, okay. So after taking verbal consent, patient is given supine position Then topical anesthetics are added in both the eyes, and depending upon the curvature of posterior curvature and posterior size of the Kippe lens or any direct gonioscopic lens, depending upon its posterior radii of curvature, there is a need of bridging substance, that is methylcellulose viscous preparation or not. That depends upon the posterior curvature of the direct gonio lens. So after that, the examiner holds the gonioscope in one hand and light source in the other hand. When the illuminating system and gonioscope, the examiner has to use both the hands to hold the illuminator and the lens, okay, to examine the patient's eye. Then the assistance is required because the lens needs to be moved, and even the examiner has to move to visualize 360 degree anterior chamber angle, 360 degrees, to have the entire 360-degree view of the anterior chamber angle. So in that case, an assistance is required. Otherwise, if the Barcon illuminator or any light source that can be mounted on the gonioscope is used, that time the other hand is free, and that can be used to move the gonio lens, okay, to have the entire 360-degree view of the anterior chamber angle. So that was about the direct gonioscopy. I don't have the video of direct gonioscopy. I searched on the internet, but I didn't get. I request few of the ophthalmologists, good kind ophthalmologists on YouTube, to post direct gonioscopy video for even my better understanding. And hope I do it when I join some good institute. I hope I do such things like I didn't get to do in my PG. During my post graduation, I didn't get to do direct gonioscopy. Now, in direct gonioscopy, the gonio prism and slit lamp are the only instruments needed for indirect gonioscopy. Several types of gonio lenses are available with a single mirror or multiple mirrors. The Goldman single mirror lens is tilted 62 degrees from the planar front surface, which allows examination of the anterior chamber angle. The Goldman 3-mirror lens contains 2 mirrors for examination of the fundus and 1 for examination of the angle. Because of their 7.38 mm posterior radius of curvature, both Goldman lenses require the use of viscous material to fill the space between the cornea and the lens, means their posterior curvature is steeper than the anterior curvature of the cornea, so we have to bridge the gap with the viscoelastic substance, okay? In contrast, a modified Goldman type lens with its 8.4 mm radius of curvature, means radius of curvature when it is larger means it is not a steeper lens, okay? The curvature is not steeper. So in contrast, a modified Goldman type lens with its 8.4 mm radius of curvature requires no viscous bridge. Goldman type lenses have also been modified with anti-reflection coating, allowing them to be used for laser trabeculoplasty. Once I cover this gonioscopy, I'll cover the trabeculoplasty, laser trabeculoplasty, then goniotomy, okay, and cycloablation techniques. In the Zeiss 4-mirror lens, all the mirrors are tilted at 64 degrees for evaluation of the angle, eliminating the need to rotate the lens. The original 4-mirror lens is mounted on a holding fork and unja holder, whereas newer models have permanently attached holding rod, a Posner lens, or are held directly, such as the Sussman style lenses. The posterior curvature of these 4-mirror lenses is similar to that of the cornea, conveniently allowing the patient's own tears to be used as a fluid bridge. With the Goldman and Zeiss type instruments, the anterior chamber angle is viewed indirectly through a mirror 180 degrees from the quadrant being viewed. Some newer gonio prisms enable direct viewing of the angle. Several types of lenses, including the ridge trabeculoplasty lens and the Latina lens, are used in laser therapy. Okay. So what they're saying, indirect gonioscopy lenses, different types are there. Kipping was a prototype of direct gonioscopy lens, and indirect lenses are either single mirror, double mirror, three mirrored, or four mirrored. Okay, so there is a Goldman single mirror lens, and it is tilted at 62 degrees. Then Goldman's three mirror lens is there, two for examination of the fundus and one is for the examination of the angle. Okay. Then, then there are four mirror lenses, okay? Four mirror lenses with handle, without handle. So, Zeiss is, it can be used without the handle, it can be mounted on an unja holder, okay? That is Zeiss four mirror. And also then there is another four mirror lens, that is Posner lens, and which has got the permanently attached holding rod. So the Posner lens is the lens, indirect gonio lens with attached, permanently attached rod, and Sussman type of the four mirror gonio lens, it doesn't have any rod. You can remember it as S. S for sessile. Sessile means it doesn't have that stick, it doesn't have a hand. Okay. And several types of the lenses, including breech trabeculoplasty lens, Latina lens, and even coated Goldman type of lenses, can be used for laser therapy. That we'll see in laser treatment of anterior chamber angle, the trabeculoplasty, laser goniotomy, and even the cycloablation techniques. Okay. Now, the cornea is and yes, one more thing. The posterior curvature of these four mirror lenses, they match the posterior curvature of the cornea, and that's why we don't need that's why there is no gap between the posterior curvature of these lenses, four mirror lenses, and the anterior curvature of the cornea. So we don't need that breaching substance, okay? Technique of indirect gonioscopy. The cornea is anesthetized. Before doing any procedure in medical surgical practices, okay, we have to explain the need of the procedure and how it is done, and we have to take the verbal or written consent depending upon the procedure, okay. Now the technique of indirect gonioscopy. The cornea is anesthetized, and with the patient positioned at the slit lamp, the gonioprism is placed against the cornea with or without a fluid bridge depending on the posterior radius of curvature of the instrument. The lens is then rotated to allow visualization of all 360 degrees of the angle, or the quadrants are studied with the four mirrors. Visualization into a narrow angle can be enhanced by manipulating the gonioprism. For example, asking the patient to look in the direction of the four mirror being used. A web-based gonioscopy module with the video available at www.gonioscopy.org is recommended for learning this technique. Okay. So whoever is interested in seeing these videos, we can refer. I didn't see this side, okay? I didn't see this side, so I'll see this side. I'll see if I can get the direct gonioscopy technique on this side, okay? If I get, I'll tell you. I'll see this side. Now this technique of indirect gonioscopy. First, explain the need of the procedure, then explain the procedure, how it is done, then take the verbal consent of the patient, then anesthetize the cornea, okay, both the corneas. Then patient is positioned at the slit lamp. The gonioprism is filled with the viscoelastic substance, okay, viscoelastic substance with cellulose or balanced salt solution depending upon the type of the lens that is used, because we don't, in four mirror, we don't need these breaching substances. So if you're using the viscoelastic substance or breaching substance, make sure there is no air bubble, okay? Make sure there is no air bubble in the contact lens curvature, that gap is there. There shouldn't be any air trap, so that you should make sure. And then after that, the patient is positioned at the slit lamp. The lids are retracted. The patient is asked to look upwards, and then it is positioned. First the upper curvature and then the lower curvature. Okay. First the upper edge and then the lower edge of the lens. Make sure there is no air trap, because it interferes with the visualization. Then the lens is rotated 360 to allow the visualization of the entire anterior chamber angle. Okay, and it is easy to see it with 4 mirrors. Okay, because the less time is required, and also there is no need of the viscoelastic substance, so there is no that sticky. Uh, that there is no sticky feeling, and also there is no blurring of the vision after the procedure. Then comparison of direct and indirect gonioscopy. There is no unanimity of opinion on which basic method of gonioscopy is best. With direct gonioscopy, the height of the observer may be changed to look deeper into narrow angle, whereas the gonio prism is limited in this regard by the height of the mirror. In addition, the gonio lens may cause less distortion of the anterior chamber. Both features make it desirable when assessing the true depth of the anterior chamber angle. A major advantage of direct gonioscopy, with especially with the infant Kippe lenses, is its use in sedated or anesthetized patients, as in the examination of children. These lenses are also useful in examining the fundus through a small pupil with a direct ophthalmoscope. In indirect gonioscopy, the slit lamp may provide better optics and lighting, which could be an advantage when looking for subtle details in the angle. Furthermore, the method requires fewer additional instruments and occupies less space than direct gonioscopy does. Indirect gonioscopy is also performed faster than direct gonioscopy. This is particularly true with the Zeiss 4-mirror lenses and modified Goldman type lenses because no viscous bridge is required. Gonio prisms with posterior radius of curvature closer to that of the anterior corneal surface may also reduce corneal distortion. Gonio prisms with taller mirrors facilitate visualization of narrow angles. Finally, because of its relatively small diameter of corneal contact, the Zeiss 4-mirror lens can also be used in compressive gonioscopy. So what are the comparisons of direct and indirect gonioscopy? Okay. So direct gonioscopy, it is useful in patients, in children, in anesthetized patients, and also we can um, see the fundus at the same time through the lens. And in indirect gonioscopy, but what are the limitations? Because it takes time, and assistant may be required if the illuminating system and gonioscope, this is separate and it cannot be mounted with the gonioscope. The illuminating system cannot be mounted with the gonioscope. That time assistant is required mostly. Then in indirect gonioscopy, what are the advantages of indirect gonioscopy? First thing, it's a rapid technique, especially with the 4 mirrors. Okay, and then indentational gonioscopy is possible with indirect gonioscopy because the radii of posterior radii of curvature are similar to that of the anterior curvature of the cornea, and also small diameter of the corneal contact, so that when they're indented, they push the aqueous into the chamber and the anterior chamber angle opens. So we can use it to distinguish between the synachial closure and oppositional closure. Okay. So these are the differences between direct and indirect gonioscopy. Now, cleaning of diagnostic contact lenses. Any instrument that contacts the eye creates the potential hazards of transmitting bacterial and viral infection. This issue is considered in more detail in Chapter 2, although Chapter 2 discusses instrument cleaning in the context of tonometry use. The same basic principles apply with diagnostic contact lenses. Okay, so we'll see uh, cleaning of the disinfection or cleaning of the tonometers. So we'll see the cleaning of the tonometers, and the same principles are applied to the cleaning of the contact lenses. So we'll see that. So we'll have to look for the Chapter 2. Okay. Disinfection of Goldman and other tonometers. Here the disinfection of these gonioscopic lenses. With all tonometers that contact the eye, there is a risk of transmitting infections such as the adenovirus of epidemic keratoconjunctivitis and herpes simplex virus type 1. In addition, there is potential for transmitting more serious diseases such as hepatitis and acquired immunodeficiency syndrome (AIDS), although there is no evidence to suggest transmission of HIV by contact lens with tears. Various techniques have been described for disinfecting tonometer tips. Adenovirus type 8 was removed or inactivated by soaking the applanation tip for 5 to 15 minutes in diluted sodium hypochlorite 1:10 household bleach. 1:10 household bleach. 3% of hydrogen peroxide or 70% isopropyl alcohol, or by wiping with alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, iodophos, povidone iodine, or 1:1000 merthiolate. Herpes simplex virus type 1 was eliminated by swabbing the applanation head with 70% isopropyl alcohol. 10 minutes of continuous rinsing in running tap water was reported to remove all detectable hepatitis B virus (HBV) surface antigen from contaminated tonometers, although another study showed that soap and water wash was the only disinfection method that removed all HPV DNA. Wiping with 3% hydrogen peroxide or 70% isopropyl alcohol swabs completely disinfected tonometer tips contaminated with HIV-1. The American Academy of Ophthalmology Clinical Statement on Infection Prevention in Eye Care Services and Operating Areas and Operating Rooms. Centers for Disease and Control Prevention. With any technique, it's important to carefully remove the disinfectant from the contact surface before the next use because alcohol and hydrogen peroxide each cause transient corneal defects. So that was about the disinfection of the Goldman's tonometers, and these principles are applied to the gonioscopic lenses also, for cleaning of the gonioscopic lenses. Now gonioscopic appearances, now we'll see the types of the contact lenses for gonioscopy. Direct gonio lenses and indirect gonioscopy. Gonio lenses in direct gonioscopy are Kippe, Richardson, Schaffer, Leyden, Bacon, Thorpe, Swan-Jacob. Okay, you can remember it as Corilla, Bath Swan. Okay, Corilla, not gorilla. It's Corilla, Bath Swan. So Kippe, Kippe, Richardson, Schaffer. LA is Leyden, BA is Bacon, TH is Thorpe, and Swan is Swan-Jacob. Okay, so Kippe lens, it is the prototype of diagnostic gonio lens. Richardson Schaffer, small Kippe lens that is used for infants. Okay, Leyden for gonioscopic examination of premature infants. Bacon, prototype surgical gonio lens. Thorpe, surgical and diagnostic lens for operating rooms. Swan-Jacob, surgical gonio lenses for children. Okay, so for children, infants, which are the lenses? For infants, children, Kippe is there. Then Richardson Schaffer, this is a small Kippe lens for infants. Richardson Schaffer, infants. Then premature infants, Leyden. Okay, so starting from the premature infants, it is Leyden. Then infants, small Kippe lens, it is Richardson Schaffer, and in children, it is Swan-Jacob. Then Kippe is prototype diagnostic gonio lens. Bacon is prototype surgical gonio lens, and Thorpe, it is surgical and diagnostic lens for operating rooms. Gonio prisms, indirect gonioscopy. Prism means they have the mirror. Gonio prisms, indirect gonioscopy. Goldman single mirror, Goldman 3 mirror, Zeiss 4 mirror, Posner 4 mirror, Sussman, Thorpe, and Rich trabeculoplasty and Latina trabeculoplasty lens. Goldman single mirror, mirror inclined at 62 degrees for gonioscopy. Goldman 3 mirror, 1 mirror for gonioscopy, 2 for retina, that is fundus examination. Coated front surface available for laser use. Zeiss 4 mirror, all 4 mirrors inclined at 64 degrees for gonioscopy. Requires holder under, fluid bridge not required. Posner 4 mirror, modified Zeiss 4 mirror gonio prism with attached handle. Handheld Zeiss gonio prism. Posner 4 mirror, modified Zeiss 4 mirror gonio prism with attached handle. Sussman 4 mirror, handheld Zeiss type gonio prism. Thorpe 4 mirror, 4 gonioscopic mirrors inclined at 62 degrees, requires field bridge. Bridge trabeculoplasty lens, 4 gonioscopy mirrors, 2 inclined at 59 degrees and 2 at 62 degrees with convex lens over 2. Lateral trabeculoplasty lens, 1 mirror for trabeculoplasty. Now figure 3.1, principle of gonioscopy. A light ray is refracted when angle of incidence I at interface of two media with different indices of refraction n and n dash is less than the critical angle. B. Angle of refraction R is 90 degrees when I equals the critical angle. C. Light is reflected when I exceeds the critical angle. D. Light from the anterior chamber angle exceeds the critical angle at the cornea-area interface and is reflected back into the eye. E and F. Contact lenses have an index of refraction and similar to that of the cornea, allowing light to enter the lens and then be refracted gonio lens or reflected gonio prism beyond the contact lens air interface. In figure A, you can see the angle of incidence I in the denser medium and angle of refraction R in the rarer medium. Here in this case, you can see the refracted ray in the rarer medium. The refracted ray is in the rarer medium means the angle of incidence is less than the critical angle here. Okay, and in figure B you can see the angle of incidence for which the angle of refraction is 90 degree. Okay, 90 degree to the normal to the surface. So this angle I is a critical angle. Okay, and in figure C you can see the angle I, that is angle of incidence, it is more than the critical angle, and at that angle or at any angle more than critical angle, the light rays are refracted back into the denser medium that you can see here, okay, in figure C. Now, in figure D, you can see normally why we cannot see the anterior chamber angle, because the rays coming from the anterior chamber angle are refracted back into the denser medium, that is into the anterior chamber itself, because the angle of incidence is more than the critical angle. The critical angle for the cornea-area interface is 46 degrees. In figure E, you can see it is the direct gonioscopic lens principle. You can see here the light rays coming from the anterior chamber angle. They are not refracted at the cornea and contact lens interface because they both having similar refractive index, and that's why these rays they undergo minimal or no refraction here. Okay, and then you can see here there is contact lens and air interface. But as the anterior curvature of the lens is steeper than the corneal curvature, the angle of incidence it is less than the critical angle here for the cornea, for the contact lens and air interface, and the rays are refracted into the rarer medium, that is air, and can reach the examiner's eyes to see the anterior chamber angle. Now in figure F, you can see the principle of the indirect gonioscopy. You can see the contact lens that is used for indirect gonioscopy is called as gonioprism. Why? Because it has got mirror, 1 mirror, 2 mirrors, 3 mirrors or 4 mirrors. There are different types, okay? So the light is coming from the anterior chamber angle. They are incident on the mirror here in the lens, okay? And again, the light rays are not refracted at the cornea and the posterior curvature of the contact lens because both having the similar refractive index. And then when the rays coming from the anterior chamber angle, they are hitting the mirror, they are reflected into the air medium, in the rarer medium, okay, and they are reflected perpendicular to the contact lens and air interface here, okay. So that's the principle of indirect gonioscopy in figure F. Now figure 3.2, you can see different gonio lenses representative indirect and direct gonio lenses, top row from left to right, large Goldman 3 mirror indirect gonio lens, small Goldman 3 mirror indirect gonio lens, and Latina indirect gonio lens, okay. Middle row, size 4 mirror indirect gonio lens with anja holder. Bottom row, from left, adult kip head direct gonio lens, latent direct gonio lens, and 4 mirror Sussman indirect gonio lens. Sussman is a cell, it doesn't have that handle. Portable permanent attached handle, I think there is no Posner here. It's size and Susan. Figure 3.3 Technique of direct gonioscope by using a Kippe gonio lens and portable slit lamp during an examination under anesthesia of a child's eye. Here you have the limitations of the illumination. You cannot increase or decrease the illumination, and you cannot increase or decrease the magnification. There is a fixed magnification, fixed illumination in case of the direct gonioscope. That is its limitation. Then figure 3.4 technique of indirect gonioscopy with a size 4 mirror lens in A, figure A, and a Goldman 3 mirror lens in figure B. Okay. So remaining 2 pages and figures I'll talk tomorrow because my cell is hot now. My mobile is hot now and I have to stop here. Also the memory is less, so I have to make the part 1 and it's already more than 30 minutes. So I have to stop here. Tomorrow I'll make a part 2 video on gonioscopy from Shield's anatomy, and Jacobi's will be part 3, and 3 parts will be of Irwin's. So 3, 6 and 7 part additional, I think, for my own additional searched videos and pictures on gonioscopy for better understanding. Okay, so that was all about the gonioscopy today. Here I conclude. Thank you for listening to me patiently. Thank you. Good night. Good night from my new cat, new street cat here. Say good night. See how cute it is. My Goldie died last year on 7th March on full moon day, and this cat, the universe has gifted me with this beautiful, cute street cat which has similar characteristics, similar nature of my Goldie, who passed away in March, on 7th of March 2023 last year. So universe has placed me with a new cat. It cannot replace the Goldie, but it has its own uniqueness and cuteness, and it is very cute. And it likes human touch and human company so much. Hey Shani, say good night. Good night. Bye. Thank you.